Speaking of ice, and I really don't like saying those words because I know what it means I gotta talk about, but yeah, speaking of ice, that's the thing we have to talk about next. But before we do that, I want to get to the fan art section so we can celebrate weird things that y'all have made before I want to just kind of blow my brains out talking about weird things that the internet has made me talk about. That said, here's a piece from Pacifist that said, "Fun fact, I haven't watched any Suris MTG videos. Why? Why? This is your opportunity to click off of this video where I talk about things you don't want to hear and instead click on a different video where I talk about Magic the Gathering. Maybe the one that is thrown up here that K-Fox will throw in because she's a great editor." Wink, wink. I'm winking by blinking. Anyway, Pacifer says, "I haven't watched any of Suris MTG's videos, so the colors of the Suris card were because slime. Also, here's Suris and all their unhinged glory." So we have a Teamer-style Suris Slayer of Normality. Flash, when Suris Slayer of Normality is cast, yell, "Think fast, chucklefuck," and toss the card at the opponent. If they're unable to block or catch the card, Suris Slayer of Normality enters play with +1/+2 double strike and haste. If anyone calls bullshit, throw Suris Slayer of Normality at them and deal 3 damage to them. 7 if it's a headshot. Don't deal damage to their life total. No, damage to them. It's just psychological damage. They just take it. They just take it. Is Suris flavored? Probably. Probably. Anyway, as always, thank you for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. That said, we got to talk about this man again because he wants to bring nuance to the ice conversation, I guess.
Like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe. It helps the channel grow a ton. Without further ado, let's dive right into this video.
You guys don't care about that white lady. You guys don't care about Renee at all. You guys don't care about that lady that lost her life, that got unalived by the ICE agent. You guys don't even care about her. The only reason you care is because you don't like Trump. Anything attached to Trump, you're not going to like. You're not going to like it.
So, like, I can admit that there are probably a handful of people who operate that way. They will see anything Trump does, regardless of how good it may be, as bad. But can I also say, it's like looking at a narcissist doing a good deed. Do you really want to celebrate the good deed knowing that the only reason the narcissist is doing it is to get that praise, and that the minute they stop, they're just going to go back to being their regular asshole self? And you don't want to sit there and have to praise every fucking action just to get them to pretend to be a good person. Like, I'm sorry, but I can just acknowledge that he does stupid shit and bad shit. And can we also acknowledge that it's bad for United States citizens to be killed by the federal government without any due process? Can we finally fucking admit that? Like, it's been happening for years, but I feel like the majority of people who've been, like, clued into this conversation, at least since George Floyd, maybe, possibly, hopefully, maybe, just a little bit, understand that human life is not a thing that we should just be fucking getting rid of for no good fucking reason.
Because if you truly, truly, truly believe...
Facts. People are only, I feel like personally, there's a lot of people angry right now and real fired up and going in the streets merely just because they hate Trump. And not even so much that it...
Yeah, but have you ever considered asking the follow-up question, Amir? Why? Why do those people hate Trump? Like, it's one thing to say you just don't like this thing this person did because you hate them. Okay. The follow-up question, the natural one is, but why do you hate the person? What things have they done? What things have they engaged in? What acts have they committed that have caused you to generate hatred towards them? Is it possibly the people being kidnapped by ICE? Is it possibly the people being killed by ICE? Is it possibly Trump trying to take over fucking Greenland? Is it the fact that he's in the Epstein files a lot and is not going to see a day in court or a day in any jail cell?
Just hate Trump, but that like you want to be a part of the crowd, just be a part of like what everybody's doing and be like well liked, I guess, on social media. I don't know what it is, but it's like at the drop of a dime, everyone comes out and protests and hip hip hurrah over things that have always been going on.
Yeah, because they get notoriety. So like, okay, here's the thing. It is true that police killings, ICE killings, all this shit has been going on for ages. But it is also true that many people do not go out and protest them until a literal fire gets lit under their ass. They do not talk about them until a literal fire gets lit under their ass. That happens. That's a natural part of being a human. Like, I'm just curious. Do you expect people to be protesting 24/7 and never actually engaging in their lives? Because the only possible way for your statement to make sense is if every human being on the planet is always protesting all the time, 100% of the time. Something that is physically impossible to do. It is an unsustainable practice.
That ICE agents are so evil and you hate them so much. You would have hated them when Obama was around too, but you don't.
My point exactly. My point exactly. ICE has been around. It's not like ICE is new. The only thing that's new about ICE is how they're literally doing their job even more and kicking out the people who aren't supposed to be here, which blows my...
So, yeah, so you're telling me that they did their job in such a way that it was able to fly under the radar, and then suddenly they started doing their job in such a way that it didn't fly under the radar anymore, and so it got media attention, and so people paid attention to it. You're telling me that in the age of the internet, people gained access to information and therefore their behaviors changed? Wow, that is so strange to me. That is so weird to me. That is so weird to me. Yeah. A lot of deportations happened under Obama, and they happened under Biden, and there's a non-zero amount of them that are going to happen unless ICE doesn't fucking exist. But there is a difference in the amount that is happening, how it is happening, where it is happening. It's basically happening to people's fucking neighbors now, far more often than not. Can you not see how that would make things a little more visible? Yeah, this is something that people should have cared about the whole time, but that doesn't dismiss that they care about it now. Why would you throw a potential ally under the bus simply because you live in a world where they just now started being your fucking ally? Would you just throw them under and go, why were you not there the entire time? A myriad of fucking reasons. Life is complicated.
Find even more that all this stuff going on, all the protests that we've been going through in this video and all the crime, everything that's going on is all for illegal citizens. This isn't like blacks versus white. This isn't about like legal citizens. It's literally illegal people. It's equivalent.
People can't be fucking illegal, you dumbass. People cannot be illegal. Actions are illegal. The words you use, the way you choose to articulate your sentences, fucking matter. People are not illegal, dumbass.
If I just went to Japan and stayed there, they're gonna kick me out. I'm not a citizen of Japan. There are people here who have snuck in, broke into the country, and are trying to stay here in ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, enforcing the law, enforcing the rules, and make sure people are getting out of here. That's all they're doing, and they have been doing that.
Is it all they're doing? Is it all they're doing? Is it the fact that, I don't know, once upon a time we actually didn't have them masked and unidentified all the time, and now we do have them that way? Just got sent this meme from fucking Ravi for funsies. On the left, ICE agents until very recently wearing windbreakers and IDs clearly shown. On the right, ICE agents under Trump with faces covered, no identification, full fascist militarization, including military assault rifles for use on civilians. This is what fascism looks like, hiding their faces to commit crimes with zero accountability. Again, the idea that you simply want to enforce whether or not you have people in your borders is not the issue at hand. It is how you go about it. There is a difference between removing somebody who is illegally here by setting them up with a lawyer and getting them a case versus, which is, by the way, the fucking right of everybody in the United States. That is your right in the United States. You have a right to an attorney. There's a difference between that and just fucking busing people out of here while shooting them, which is what ICE has been doing. Squirrel Knitter says, was he protesting ICE during Obama and Biden? Absolutely fucking not, he wasn't. Absolutely he wasn't. Liz Chris says, when I was a kid, ICE didn't exist. Yeah, when I was a kid, ICE didn't exist either. ICE is from the Bush administration. I was born in 1992. So there is a significant portion of my early life where I didn't know ICE was a thing. And of course, when ICE gets made, it gets to ramp into what it is. It's like being upset that Germany has a police force or a military. Nobody's going to be upset that Germany has a police force or a military, but if we are in 1940s Germany, we might start getting upset at how those things are being utilized. Same fucking shit here.
No one seems to have cared until Trump's in office. ICE was around when Biden and Kamala was president. Granted, they were way more relaxed and letting people in, but Obama, he was really deporting people back in the day, and not a peep was about that.
The Trump administration has claimed that it has managed to deport either via people vacating of their own accord because they felt threatened or through ICE deportations, 2.2 million. During Obama's entire presidency, it was 3.3 million. Obama in his entire presidency of 8 years versus the first year of this administration. Do you not see a difference there? Do you not see a difference in scale? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Obama wasn't also the deporter-in-chief. The difference is, he was a person who, to everybody's eyes, was also doing a lot of good. So that made it so where he was able to have a much more public face that didn't end up getting steeped in fucking shame all the time. But when you look at Donald Trump, you have a guy who's been in the Epstein files. You have a guy who's doing a ramping up of what's going on in ICE. You have a guy who's been getting rid of expertise from within the White House and every area of fucking government. You have a guy whose administration is cutting back on fucking vaccine rollouts for children. What you have is a holistic approach to mismanagement, incompetence, and stupidity. With Obama, you had a handful of things. You had the drone strikes, you had the deportation in chief, you had a handful of things that he was doing. With Trump, you have more than a fucking handful, my guy. But I also notice this shit. I also notice how oftentimes the response from the right wing when we're talking about this shit will be, oh, but Kamala, oh, but Biden, oh, but Obama. Do you not realize that we don't worship any of those people sycophantically like y'all do with Trump? You understand that each and every one of us would throw every one of those politicians under the fucking bus for a singular corn chip. You understand that, correct? Like, those aren't things that you don't understand. I would hope. Because, like, the Trump crowd is the Trump crowd. They are ride or die MAGA. A lot of times the leftists are looking at the Democrats going, what the fuck is wrong with each and every one of you? Why don't you have your heads on straight? Robbie says, show the pic on Discord to show the oh but difference. I showed it like a second ago. This one? Like I showed this one like just a little bit ago. Jassa says, I want Amir to name one positive piece of legislation Trump signed. I can name at least 3 off the top of my head that Biden passed. Let's see. Off the top of my head, there is, despite negative media coverage, there was Biden working with the railway workers during their strike. Yes, he made them work. Yeah, that's a thing that can be considered very, very bad, but he also made sure that their demands were met. Let's see here. On top of that, there was letting trans people back into the military, since that's one of the main resources that trans people can use in order to get gender-affirming care in a country that largely tries to deny them that care. That would be another one. Oh, and getting us back involved in the Paris Climate Accords. There, that's 3 off the top of my fucking head for Biden. That's 3. Diamond says he did pass the student loan forgiveness. It was the Supreme Court who blocked it. Yeah, Trump's Supreme Court, because he elected 3 people in that Supreme Court. Jassa said, we thought of different things, so 6 total. Diamond says, and the infrastructure bill? Yeah, it's almost like we can all think of good things. Weird. Anyway.
Especially with social media, a lot of this stuff is just performative.
You guys only hate them now because it's under the Trump administration, but you didn't care when 3 million people were deported. You guys didn't care about them. You guys only care about it now because, one, you see everybody hopping on this train and you want to be a part of the show. You just want to be cool like everybody. You just want to blend in and you're not.
So I'm just going to say right now, this reads like projection. Because it's not that there aren't some people who are bandwagon riders. They do exist. But it's also weird to say that somebody who genuinely is upset by the idea that their fellow American citizen could be killed by a random ICE agent, that somebody not celebrating that is just trying to bandwagon ride. It's a fucking stupid, it's a stupid opinion.
Brave enough to have an opinion of your own. So you're just a follower. That's what it is.
Is it weird when you do this whole, like, you all are sheeple because you don't have your own opinions? Is it weird to have that opinion when at the same time people can, of their own accord, come to the opinion that human life is valuable and we shouldn't kill it in the fucking streets? Jesus fucking God.
It is.
Which I'm not gonna push back entirely, but I will give grace because I used to be there. I will give grace to the people who don't speak up because of how jarring it is and how it's literally like life altering. Now, is it worth it in the long term? Yes. I wish everybody could speak out, everybody share their raw opinion. However, it is hard for some people out here because in large part you will lose a good chunk of your friends if they're not open-minded, I guess. If you're really deep in the trenches.
Sidebar. Be willing to share your opinions openly from the get-go, and you won't have to worry about losing friends, because you'll just have friends around you who are comfortable with you being that person. Case in point, I didn't start going to my card shop until well after I had already started my channel. As a result, every person at that card shop, if a conversation about politics is had around me, understands that Suris is likely gonna have a fucking opinion on it. Now, I'll likely be able to have that conversation in a very even-handed tone, and I'll likely be able to have that conversation in a very friendly manner, and that makes all the difference. But the fact of the matter is, I can and have and do have that conversation. Just make it a point where you're not hiding your fucking power level. That will do a lot of good in the future for you, I promised.
On the left, you may just lose all your friends. You very well may. Like, I've gotten into some conversation about ICE, and one of my good liberal friends that I always have conversations with, we just ended the friendship like 2 days ago over this very thing that's going on. And I thought he was a really cool guy, but I
thought he was a really cool guy, but we ended our friendship because I was okay with people being executed and he wasn't okay with that. Gee, I wonder how that fucking happened.
Over now just because he thinks I'm just insanely too crazy.
Yes, supporting ICE right now is insanely crazy. You're doing the thing that the Nazis were okay with. I'm not going to say you are one. I can't say you are one. You don't seem to have any of their fucking ideologies, but you do seem to be licking N-flavored boot.
My point, and I personally had to sit there and end the friendship because of how emotionally charged he was. He wasn't coming at me to have a conversation and move on. He was coming to me to talk to me, to demean me, to belittle me, and then move on. I'm like, I'm not gonna have that. I'm off.
So, on the one hand, yes, people who believe ICE are good should be belittled. Duh. I feel like that goes without saying. But on the other hand, recognize that they are people with little child baby brains that like being told what to do, and so you need to use non-emotionally charged words with them. You have to recognize that they are having big emotions. And sometimes when they're having big emotions, then it's a good idea to use smaller words that don't really start conflict, because then you'll be able to have a conversation with them. So, like, on the one hand, somebody who supports ICE in its current form with what it's currently doing probably should not have your personal friendship. At the same time, if your goal is to change their mind, demeaning them will not work. It simply won't. Also, that freeze frame that I have him on is wildly inappropriate. Don't do anything weird with that.
For us agreeing and disagreeing or not talking about a topic, that's fine. But like, if we're going to talk about a topic, we're going to actually talk about it, not talk at each other. We're going to talk with each other. And he wasn't doing that. So I can see.
Right. So here's the thing. Talking with each other works. I agree with that. I think you should give grace to people. I think that's a good idea. I also recognize that there is a type of person who will not be able to be budged on a topic, and therefore your only options are to either cut and leave or tolerate that that person has an opinion that may be antithetical to, I don't know, your survival. Let's say that you're a trans person and your friend has an opinion on whether or not you should be allowed to get HRT. Let's say that's where it is right there. Should you have that conversation with them or at them? Because if you have the conversation with them a handful of times, and they don't budge their stance that they want to be your little bitty friend, but they also at the same time want to make it so that you aren't allowed to live, then maybe you should be demeaning them. Maybe that person does deserve to be made fun of. I feel like you should give grace to a point, but once somebody's crossed that threshold, you stop doing it. Like when it's a pundit like Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro or Nick Fuentes or Matt Walsh, I don't think talking with them has any fucking value. And I actually have friends who believe that talking with them has value. And on my secondary channel, you can see a long debate between me and Alec Gunter. That's why my brain was like, that's not the last name, because you got the first name wrong. Alec Gunter. You can see a long conversation with me and Dead Domain and Nyara and Alec Gunter where we have vehement disagreements over how far you should grant that grace to somebody.
Because people are scared to speak out, but at the end of the day, you should.
This lady should still be here. No doubt in my mind, she should still be here. But you liberals unalived your own kind. You guys pumped her head up so much and yeah, you can do it. All for the camera, all just for social media. And now look.
Do you think she was driving to the right away from the ICE officers for the camera? Ienzo says, did you just get into the video with Sergeant Obnoxious here? Unfortunately. Unfortunately. I'm going to move to his next point because I don't want to just sit here on this point the entire time. But to say that anybody was the culprit there other than the ICE officer with the goddamn gun is victim blaming to the highest goddamn degree.
You know what's so crazy about this? This is two people. One of them's Cam Higme, the other is Nick's Sortor. I'm not sure I'm butchering his name. Nick and Cam in the car, and their car is surrounded by protesters. They're screaming, get out, get clapped, we gonna hurt you. Now why the hell would they get out the car? At that, this is the party of peace, love, and equality.
So, can we also point out that any group of people that you get into a large enough group, any section of people you get into a large enough group, you can rally them to do heinous shit. Anyone. This is one of the reasons why you shouldn't bring weapons to a fucking protest. Because it is super easy for that crowd mentality to just take hold. It is very, very easy.
Mobbing around cars, breaking their windows, spray painting it, smashing it. This is what y'all do. And then you want to get mad when I'm gonna let it play.
Get out of the way! Get out of the way!
Period. You want to blockade people? No. And then you wonder why people get hit and why people get shot. Like, you can't surround and ambush a vehicle, smash their windows, yell at them, spray paint their car, and not think you might get ran over, and not think, the police are going to want to deal with me after this.
So, I actually do agree with Amir on this one. I do. I actually do. I do not see what can be gained from trying to prevent somebody from driving through their car. Now, the question is there any context that is missing from this? Because if you have a conservative influencer who is deliberately driving through this area, is it that a protest was already happening and Nick Sorter knew that it was happening and he decided to deliberately drive through the protest area in order to get footage? Because I don't know if that is or is not what happened. But I can tell you that from a content creation mindset, that easily can be what happened, in which case we have to ask all the same questions of Nick Sorter as we have to ask of, say, Kyle Rittenhouse. Was what you did justified in a legal sense? Sure. Did you also deliberately put yourself in a position where it was incredibly likely to happen? Also, yes. And if you are willing to fight against that argument, I'm fine with you doing that. But now we have to go talk about Renee Good again because, well, that's the argument that was used against her and why it was okay for ICE to shoot her. Like, suddenly you've created the muddy waters yourself in this situation. But let's move on to the next one.
Say it loud, say it clear! Say it loud, say it clear! We do not have any fear! We do not have any fear!
We're not out here to joke around. We're not out here just to be seen. We're out here to make our voices heard. We are all clearly affected of what's going on. I know I am, especially as a Latino. While we are standing up for our people, would you give us peace and reassurance, Father? Help us stay in unity together. Let our voices be heard and protect those who can't fight for themselves, Father.
That is very sweet. The prayer was very nice, but there's a couple things I want to point out about that video. One,
the prayer being useless is one of them. Like it doesn't do anything. That would be my first one.
and stay y'all asses in school. Just stay in school. 2, our people. These illegals are not our people. I'm sorry.
Yes, they are. Our people are everybody in the fucking world. I'm sorry. This idea that the boundaries that we have drawn literally artificially around the fucking planet somehow define who we are is asinine. You are as much a human being as the guy down in South America. You are as much a human being as the girl up in Canada. You are as much a human being as every other person on the goddamn planet, and it is the fact that we focus so terribly goddamn hard on those differences instead of the stuff that we love together that leads us into these terrible fucking predicaments. No, I am never going to accept. I am never going to accept. These aren't our people. Yes, they are. Every other fucking person is our people. Unless they have committed some kind of fucking heinous crime to get themselves ostracized from society, they are our people as much as anybody else, because any line you draw is fucking arbitrary.
I understand some people.
No, you don't. We're going to move on to the next one. We're going to move on. Let's see here. Ilhan Omar.
And this one's crazy. We're going to be talking about Ilhan Omar for a little bit. She's responding to a tweet from Homeland Security, DHS. Do not bring your baby to a violent riot. Because people were literally showing up with their babies as shields. People are showing up to the protests with their children to like kind of deflect the cops from shooting tear gas and things like that. Ilhan Omar had the nerve to say, there are no violent riots in Minneapolis like you wanted. The only violence we have seen is from your agents terrorizing people. Our neighbors are showing up with love and protection for one another. Love and compassion has always been our North Star. This is love and compassion?
Yeah, saying fuck ICE is love and compassion. Yes, it is. 110%. Saying fuck Nazis is love and compassion. It comes from a place of love and compassion.
This is love and compassion.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm curious, do you think that a United States military member and turning around a manhole is very peaceful? Central VT says, and turning around a manhole is very peaceful. Yenza says, I'm sorry, but that was a family trying to get home. I shot the grenade under their fucking car, almost killing 6 kids, especially the 6-month-old infant. Which one are you talking about? Amir, just because they're not your people, does it... I don't know the situation you're talking about specifically. Said, fuck ISIS freedom of... Yeah, one, fuck ISIS freedom of expression, but also said the black family that were interviewed by Fox News. I don't know what you're talking about, Ienzo. I apologize that there have been so many things that have happened, but is that in reference to something that has happened on here? Because, like, I recognize that you're saying that is a thing that happened, and I'm not denying that, but I don't know the situation you're talking about. Diamond says there was a family who had a baby with them. They were trying to avoid the protest, not joining the protest. Was there another situation with the baby? Okay, are you talking about... I understand now. I understand. Hold on. I wonder if I just type in the words ICE, grenade, baby.
Where newly released documents from the fire department show what emergency workers saw and faced when responding to the shooting last week that left a woman dead. And in another violent clash over immigration operations there, an infant was sent to the hospital. ABC's Olivia Rubin with the latest.
I can't breathe. Despite calls from local leaders for peace and to turn down the temperature, clashes between protesters and federal officers not letting up in Minnesota. Federal agents deploying tear gas on crowds, urging them to leave.
Stay off federal property or you will be arrested.
In one distressing scene, a baby hospitalized after a family's car was hit with tear gas, according to the Minneapolis Office of Community Safety. The agency saying the 6-month-old had difficulty breathing.
The ICE agents came forward and they were like lined up with their mace.
The Jackson family says they were driving home from their son's basketball game. The gas grenades setting off the airbags in the car, trapping them inside. Bystanders opening the doors. That's when the family says the baby wasn't breathing.
Having to get my baby like mouth to mouth and people like pouring milk all over my other kids. I thought I was dying, honestly. And the way I felt, I could imagine how my kids felt because I'm a full-blown grown adult, you know, so I just knew that it was even worse for them.
We've reached out to DHS for comment on the incident. Tensions flaring since the killing last week of Renee Good. Good was found, quote, unresponsive, not breathing, according to a Minneapolis Fire Department report. That report saying her injuries included 2 apparent gunshots.
Okay, so I see the situation you were talking about now. So when Amir is saying that, oh, people were bringing their babies to protest and holding them up as shields against tear gas, that's not what was fucking happening. It was people trying to drive through an area where a protest happened to be happening, and ICE fired a fucking tear gas grenade at them, and then the children got hospitalized. That's the situation. And Amir paints that as trying to use kids as fucking shields? What? That's not... Okay. My brain is busted. I understand what you were talking about now, Ienzo. I understand. So I didn't make the connection there because I didn't know the context for that particular situation. Again, there is too fucking much going on right now. There is too fucking much going on right now. Shauna Destiny Jackson said they were trying to escape a clash between ICE protesters when agents used tear gas on their car. So they were actively trying to leave. They weren't trying to be part of the protest. They were trying to fucking leave, is what all the news articles I'm reading have to say. Yenzo says Fox News did an interview with the mom. It just seemed like they were going to smear the protesters so the family getting harmed. Ah. Jesus Christ, Amir. Do better. Do fucking better. Do fucking better, my guy. Is there possibly anything else of worth in this video? If we're at the point where he's just lying about people using their kids as shields, is that the point where we just say we're done? Because I'm comfortable with that being the point where we say we're done. I can't think of anything else of worth being in the video if you're willing to lie about shit that is as hyperbolic as that. I'm willing to be done. I'm willing to be done completely. Let me know what y'all thought in the comment section when this makes it to YouTube, but I can't listen to him anymore. I barely make it through an Amir video on the best of days, but there's just some shit that pisses me the fuck off. This is not pick-meism so much as this is straight up fucking being a Quisling. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Sereth, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.